right. Are we on? We are on. Welcome, everyone, to the myITforum Unplugged session. Appreciate you guys coming in today. Okay, so, and I'm sure you're all aware, you've not forgotten, today's Friday. I am probably I wouldn't say more excited today, but haven't been home in a while, so I'm actually looking forward to getting home and seeing the family. But it's Friday, it's a relaxed day, and so I'm going to actually have a lot of questions for you, if you could help me out. But I'd also like you guys to ask questions and make suggestions. So this session today is really just a one-on-one conversation between myITforum and the community. How many is this your first MMS? Look at that. Wow. You guys are at your hotel room over there. That's about as far as many steps it's going to take to get there. You guys come this way if you want. If you want. Which
the
means
light's
really
blinding.
Come on over.
Yeah, that's why.
So yeah, there are a lot of newbies in here. Have you enjoyed your very first MMS? I see a lot of nodding heads. I don't see any shaking heads, which is always good. To me, and of course, I'm probably not the best one to ask this question, but to me, this is probably the best conference that Microsoft puts on. Those that have been here around at MMS for a while, those that have attended other, it's Microsoft conferences, but other conferences as well. I think hopefully you get a sense that this conference is just a little bit different than the other ones. And what I believe is that the primary factor is the ability for everybody to connect. We create opportunities throughout the week to get you to meet somebody new, to talk with people. Because, you can go to Tech Ed, and somebody said it yesterday, told me, and I won't mention her name, but someone from Microsoft, and I thought this was actually a really, really good way to describe the difference between, say, a Tech Ed and a Microsoft Management Summit. The Management Summit is a community event. So Microsoft Management Summit is community, Tech Ed is a crowd. So there's a little bit difference between that. You've got, Tech Ed has a lot of generalization, a lot of different types of I wasn't going to say that, but you said it. Thank you. Marketing. MMS is kind of marketing as well. I mean, we've got the expo. We've got some Microsoft messaging. And of course, that messaging always needs to get out. I believe it's important for us within our jobs to understand what the direction is, what the roadmap is, because, we're going to have to deal with it eventually, right? So over the past 3 years, the message has been cloud. I think 3 years ago, Microsoft's messaging on cloud was a little convoluted. I don't even think they understood it at the time. We just knew, cloud is a direction. Last year was a little bit more cohesive, and this year, I hope you all enjoyed the keynote. The keynote was awesome. Just being able to see how Microsoft is progressing and evolving the cloud, not just from the data center, but also from the client side. So that's how that keynote was split up, and I hope you guys enjoyed it and got something out of it, because Brad does a really good job talking the Microsoft message. But I think one of the key takeaways is the sessions. The sessions at MMS are highly targeted, right? And you can attend the sessions, and they're very technical. We have a lot of really good presenters, whether it's from the Microsoft side or the community side. And I think you'll see that, more than the other conferences, is that you'll have people that are very similar to you in your job, working with the same products, giving technical sessions that you can actually get some extreme value out of, and of course, be able to meet them during the speaker Q&As and stuff, and get further information about that. But sessions are wonderful, the keynote's wonderful, the messaging is wonderful, marketing not so much. But really, I mentioned just a little bit ago that we give opportunities to connect, but the real value of any conference, in my opinion, is the ability to connect with people find people that are like-minded, doing the same things that you do, and that value that you take back to your job next week usually comes from somebody that you talk to. That information that you glean from them, and you're jotting down those notes, right? And you're going to take it back and be able to do something actionable within your environment. I think that's extremely important. But I think, Friday, this is more of a relaxed setting. A lot of people, I've been watching the feed. A lot of people are spending 40 minutes going through security this morning. So you guys have made the right decision by staying here just a little bit longer, all right? So I appreciate you guys coming today. But what's important to me and to the conference and to the community is just really to get your feedback on anything and everything. Feedback, suggestions. Can't get rid of marketing completely. I'm sure that would be one of those. But this is an open forum. We talk about myITforum Unplugged. This is an open forum where you can ask questions, make suggestions, whether it's, again, at the conference, the community, myITforum, and unfortunately, if he asks a question, it'll be about this long. So with A, B, C, and D. So Michael.
Okay. The first part is the impact of Penton.
Impact of Penton. Okay, so some of you newbies, if you were at MMS and your first time, how many have actually heard of myITforum before you attended for your first time? See, that's nice. That's excellent. So I would imagine that's kind of why you're here. You notice the name. You're like, hey, let's check this out. So, yeah, we announced on Monday. We've actually been working on this for quite a while. We announced on Monday myITforum has actually been acquired by Penton Media. If you're familiar with that group at all, it's a large company, publishing company who's been in business over 100 years. Okay, very good company. They also have a technology group, and a lot of you probably are familiar with Windows IT Pro. And that's one of the things they have, SQL Server Pro. They have a bunch of different pro network sites. And I used to, Windows 2000 magazine, and it was Windows NT Pro magazine, the print magazine. I used to read that religiously, I can't tell you the number of times that, I took that to the restroom with me in dog-eared pages to read later. It's a little gross, I know, but that was an awesome magazine. And so they've produced a lot of great things. And Windows IT Pro has been looking and searching for ways to produce community and content around System Center and the cloud. And so what better way to do that instead of recreating the wheel than to bring myITforum within that same network. So yeah, we're going to become part of the Windows IT Pro network. And to me, it provides, oh my goodness, provides a lot of value in a lot of different aspects. So number one, it gives a validation to what we've been doing as a website, as a community for all these years, right? So number one, the industry is starting to see, this community thing is actually pretty cool. This community thing actually works. Let's see what we can do to figure out how to do it together. But also, we've always evangelized System Center from, SMS, before there was System Center. That's been one of my, my primary things is, evangelize System Center, because I just get that, okay? And everybody here at this conference, ultimately, if you haven't yet, you will. It'll be that light bulb moment. Everything needs to be managed. So this gives us an opportunity, because, myITforum sees a lot of traffic already, but Windows IT Pro, oh my goodness, it's enormous. They have, 1 million subscribers, something like that. So it gives us the opportunity to evangelize System Center in the cloud and our brand of community to a whole nother audience. Because quite honestly, that audience needs to know about it. Because Windows, Windows really is a concept now. It's not just a product, because Windows is expanding. Windows is the Surface. Windows is on PCs. Windows is part of the cloud. Anything that Windows is will touch the cloud. So that audience needs to know about that, and I think the integration with System Center and cloud and stuff is important for that audience. So I think they're going to be hungry and they're going to love what we do anyway. But from the other perspective, myITforum is going to be completely on its own. They're not going to make any changes. It's going to be completely just exactly the way it is. We're just going to take our brand of community and apply it to Windows IT Pro as well. So we'll kind of like, and a lot of you probably I read religiously Paul Thurrott, the Windows super site. I mean, very opinionated, very smart, produces some great content. He's part of that network as well. So that's just, one of the examples of, some of the content they have and some of the value and, the opportunity that we have to improve and increase. And you'll hear, and there are other opportunities which I probably can't talk about right now, but you'll see, I know what that is. You'll see, probably hear some communications about upcoming conferences in the next year. I think that it will be from your forum. Yeah, yeah, great. Yeah. So, yeah, community conferences. Yeah, yeah. I've heard that constantly, and has a lot to do with that thing that you said earlier, marketing. Yeah, very technical, very well. When Microsoft Management Summit started, and some of the newbies probably don't know the history. This conference actually, its seeds were from 1998. Before it wasn't even a Microsoft conference. It was a community conference, and that's how it started. Yeah, SMS User Group, Users Conference. But that's how it started. And when Microsoft took it over, they're very good at keeping the community aspect. But it has evolved because there is a message to tell everybody. People need to know the message, and that's fine. But yeah, you'll hear some interesting things about conferences in the next year or so that will bring that community thing back to where it should be. So, yeah. And did I answer that question?
Well, another one, is there going to be an opportunity to bring in additional contributors to myITforum?
Yeah, that's one of the interesting. Okay, so we have tried forever. In fact, in the early beginnings of myITforum, we actually paid our authors. We had the ability to do that. Over time, we lost that ability. myITforum was set up primarily just to pay for itself. All right, so we didn't have that additional revenue. But with Penton, they have deep pockets. And as an example, on the Windows IT Pro side last year, releasing 2 to 3 articles a week, significant articles, they paid $1.9 million on content. And I'm sitting there thinking as I'm talking to them, give me that $1.9 million. I write 10, 15 articles a day. I'm like, oh my goodness. So we'll have the ability to compensate authors again, which I think is huge. There's a lot of people that really love to share their expertise and knowledge online, and I really totally appreciate that. And I feel bad because a lot of these people are working 12, 15 hours a day, and they still participate by providing content or participating in the forums. And, just there's some people in this community just go over and beyond. For example, I don't know if he's here this morning, but Nash Fearson helped us out with our booth this year, okay? This is just one example of some of the community members and just how they participate. So every year, as we come to MMS, I search for a local television to put in our booth, for the slides and stuff like that. This year I found an awesome, 55-inch for $500. You can't beat that. So Nash rented the car, went to pick it up on Sunday before I got in, so it would be here and we could all set it all up. His rental car, the TV could not fit in it. So he calls me, and we're trying to figure out what to do, And he goes, I've got an idea. I'll call back. I said, okay. I'm like, wow, I was trying to figure it out. So I'm sitting here waiting for him. He goes to Home Depot, rents a truck for an hour, puts the TV in it, drives into the dock. We unload it. I mean, he spent, 5 or 6 of his own hours on Sunday just to get this done. I was like, oh, my goodness. It's just That's the epitome of this community, and just how it works and how people share not just their time and resources, but just share their time and their content and their work time and their after work time. And so, this is going to be a great way to compensate those people. And I think it'll actually draw a lot more people out, thinking, if I can get compensated. Because, we shouldn't be all about money, but it does help, right? So those people that have that expertise, that haven't, taken that step out to share and contribute, I think it'll help, because it gives some incentive. There's some really smart technical people. And when we first started this conference a long time ago, we had the ability to highlight people that would not have been highlighted before, people that came to the front and that we know today as being highly technical, wonderful contributors, very smart, great community members. Michael Schultz, prime example. Probably the top consultant at Microsoft. He can answer any of your questions. Of course, like I said, it's going to be about this long, but he can answer any of your questions. And his start was helping us do some pre-training and conference at MMS at 2002, 2003, something like that. Yeah, but that's another thing about that, is the ability to bring people out and build their professional life. I think that's a wonderful thing.
And, I think your form, right? I mean, I appreciate your form, because many times, the lights turn off, and you're the only form that show me where the light is at. When you're trying to, or at least you direct me. And I think that's what your form did. It kind of brought the community, because there's a lot of blogs and a lot of things out there you don't know.
Yeah.
But you kind of directed everybody to Cameron Fuller and all these, that you wouldn't know, because they're not marketing themselves, obviously.
Yeah.
They're not paying for Google AdWords, and so when you search, you don't find them. But your form you found, and then from there you jump around from there.
Well, and I think that's one of the key things too, because you talk about the blogs and the websites. The one thing that we really like to do is highlight the best stuff, no matter where it's at. That's what the community really is. It's not, we don't own this. There's a lot of really good technical people, and our methodology is to highlight those people. So kind of build them up. If you guys have a blog somewhere, and if you just let me know, usually things kind of filter in. I have this unique gift of locating and finding things, because I sit at home, I have 4 monitors, and I've got something going on each one. It's like NASA almost, and I can usually find you if you're doing something.
Sound like Santa Claus?
It's like Santa Claus. And now with Penton, I'll be able to bring some gifts. So something like that. Well, I appreciate that.
I didn't have to sign up as a
Contributor? Yeah, well, if you want to contribute articles and content, then all you have to do is sign up with an account and then drop me an email and say, hey, I want to contribute. It's a quick little change of a flag, and I'll send you a list of instructions. It's pretty easy, and get you going. Pretty simple. So yeah, anybody that would like to do that. And it's interesting too, because we're geeks. I've worked in that area where I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to leave me alone. I don't want to share. I'm afraid to share, because a lot of people are almost afraid of success sometimes. Afraid to fail, and it makes them afraid of success, because you're afraid to put yourself out there, afraid somebody will make a negative comment, or and usually the negative comments, there are people in this world that are going to make negative comments no matter what you do, right? But stepping out and providing that technical expertise, you may, and we see this a lot as well. There's content that may look similar, or it looks like it's the same article, or but different people can write a different way to touch other people, so that they understand. This person helps these people understand these person. It could be the same concept, but it's just the way that you provide it and contribute it. And that's the goal, is to help people in their job. System Center is a huge beast of a suite. We all know that.
Can you speak to any copyright, content protection, kind of handlings of that?
Copyright, blah, blah. From which perspective?
From numbers of different perspectives, but ultimately that, when folks end up writing things for myITforum, it kind of is there. Does Penton have the same type of protection that this is content written by the author, owned by the author, and then myITforum is providing it there? Are there any additional protections that they provide from other sites that might link to that or copy that, paste it on their own site?
Well, yeah, as a contributor, it is your content. If you ask for it to be taken down because there was an error or it caused some company to shut down all their computers at once, yeah, we'll definitely take it down. That is your content. From a
Penton protects your content in any better way from other sites copying it.
From a copy and paste, that's really, yeah, Penton does have legal to be able to take care of that. However, people do that. Okay, so, I know of several people within the community on blogs and things like that I rarely highlight. Because if you do a search, for that specific content, it'll come up on TechNet and then it'll come up on their blog. Exactly the same. All right? People do that. It's really hard to stop.
It's hard to police
that.
But one thing about that, they're a news organization. So they have news in schools, because I'm a professor. News in schools, you don't have, if you post something up on a news site, then it's open source.
But now, in that, there's an expectation that there would be some attribution of that to the original author.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's good faith.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You understand? Like Daily News or any newspaper could copy another newspaper's name, but of course, out of good faith, they source it. But there's no closed information in news. So if you kind of put something up there, know that that's why you put it up there, so everybody knows, regardless of how they know about it.
Yeah. He's trying to goad me into
There's
I know the answers. I'm just kind of
there's some things that we're looking to do by putting in clear text so that when you cut and paste it, it doesn't show up. But when you paste it, then you can select it all, and we could tell that it says property of myITforum. There's things that we're trying to do to get around the copy paste thing, but
You gotta be careful that the whole purpose of news is for people to find
to share.
exactly.
out how,
But if they're direct plagiarizing,
Who spent hours of their own time investigating, troubleshooting, fixing, documenting, sharing with the community, wanting nothing more than to help other people, I think that there's an attribution to that person, a recognition of
there
their
should be
effort,
that. Yeah.
and we're struggling in community environments where people are so giving. We're struggling to make sure that those people who've actually invested that effort, we want to make sure that they get recognized.
what
Yeah.
we're trying to do is if we post something that someone else had on their blog, is we always say, here's the original link, go do it. In the flip side, it doesn't always get attributed back to, go look at myITforum where the original link was. But, there's going to be people that always ruin the system. It's like the people that your company used to pay for meals, and then somebody goes out and spends $1,000 on a hamburger, then now everybody has to expense everything that's $10 or more. So you've got somebody that's going to go around the system and ruin it for everybody.
Well, there's a good way of doing things, and there's a bad way. We can all tell what those are, right? Yeah. So, I think, did anybody else have any questions? I'd really like questions and suggestions.
Yeah, suggestions are always great.
I'm really interested in suggestions about future conferences. Yeah.
Yep. And the good thing about the hotels in the middle is if you want to go outside and go left or go right, you've got places to go that are relatively close. Here, you go outside and then you're like cabbie or limo or whatever. You know, it's horrible. And I wish there was a cab service from my hotel room to this conference center because it's outrageous.
There's a moneymaker for somebody.
Yes. So Orchestrator is new, obviously. The original list of content for this conference with Orchestrator was very, very light. So the community stepped in and said, we got to have more Orchestrator sessions. So they added, well, I can't remember the exact number, a lot more sessions. But as that product continues to mature and grow, then you'll start seeing more and more of those sessions. There's not a lot of Orchestrator knowledgeable people that like to share that information. Most programmers like to program something really, really nice and then keep it themselves. And Orchestrator is one of those pieces where if you get something working that is just great, you don't want to give your secret sauce away, so you sort of keep it. And we need those people that can write those good orchestration pieces and get it up on the blogs, and that's what we're not seeing right now, just because the people really engaged in it want to keep it just because of their programming nature. So the more we can get that content out of their minds and down, then you'll start seeing more and more of those things grow. So if you've been doing Orchestrator and you've got some of that awesome stuff, email us, get it up on the site so that other people can share, and then next year you can present.
Promotions of the runbooks, promotions of the PowerShell scripts, those types of things. I mean, maybe whether myITforum could actually foster more of the submissions of here's a bucket of, here's all these PowerShell scripts and all these other ones. We've always allowed folks to contribute the individual items, but if there were an actual explicit effort to unify or standardize or to kind of say, here's a platform where these can be run on, there's more stuff that can be shared when you do it in a runbook than if you do it in a Debian script or compiled code, and that might be something myITforum could help.
Great point.
Well, real quick, back to the conference suggestion. I'll be honest with you, I don't think Orchestrator is a week-long conference. I'm thinking maybe a 2-day, well, probably 2-day, 2-3 days. Would you agree with that, or? Sure, something like that. Just, something that's hard focused on a single product. Because you look at the Exchange conference that Microsoft has, some of the SQL stuff, yeah, they're more 2 or 3 days, because they are highly focused all-day deals. So, yeah, okay.
Yes.
So I think seeing testimonials from other companies, big companies like, go to Orchestrator, General Mills, I know has huge Orchestrator farm, and because they've been doing quite a bit of that. Microsoft likes to brag about what they've done up there and stuff.
Yeah.
Companies like that. I know CDW was here, and they talked about some of their clients. I really enjoyed hearing how other companies, the why of what they did and the how.
Right.
Seeing, having something to take back for the business side of our companies, say, here's why we work this.
So the bad thing about large companies like that is large legal. So legal always gets in the way of what they can share, what they can't share. So it's difficult. Brian Mason works for Wells Fargo. I don't know if I can say where he
He works for a
but
financial institution.
he works for a very large financial, and he's brilliant, but when he wants to get up and share stuff, there's so much red tape that he's got to get through, and content gets stripped out because it's their secret sauce. Not really secret sauce because it's public stuff. But they take all that out, and then he gets up to present. So small companies have that same runbook experience that can get the content out, and they don't have all that legal red tape. And, unfortunately, Microsoft's the worst. I mean, as far as legal blocking what you can and can't say, as an MVP, I can't say hardly anything. He can. So all the stuff filters through him, where, Michael Schultz can't say a lot of the stuff he would love to say. But if you get him one-on-one, he'll dump that to you sometimes if you can
Clean
squeeze it out of
language,
him.
too, though. It's not what he's
But it's just sometimes legal hinders evolution of the products, in my opinion. So
so maybe some company sessions, how we did it type of thing. I think it'll be interesting. Because we kind of used to do that, and we've really, I totally forgot. We've gotten away from that. You're right, completely. It's more, here's how to do this instead of here's how we did it.
And I think that some people might say that it's watering down the technical aspect of the conference, but
No.
you can still have the technical and have almost like a keynote from you major select players.
right.
It would be interesting, too, just playing on that a little bit, if we could, because, we're all here, those folks that aren't integrators or consultants, but those that are working, in the enterprise or small to medium business. We're in different sectors. We have the birds of a feather, which is great, but we don't really do a good job of covering everything. But if we could have a company that speaks to each sector, healthcare, financial, and things like that, I think that would be.
Sort of like what Domino's did in the keynote. If we could get them to present some about how they did what was presented in the keynote, that would have gone a lot farther along. Still amazing that they shipped that many pizzas on Super Bowl Sunday, but not to my house because I like other pizza.
Oh my goodness, can you imagine? Yeah, two
Yes,
guys
sir.
working, never sleeping.
You mentioned birds of a feather, and that brought to mind my frustration the other day and trying to figure out of all the birds of a feather. And we're at that same time, which one I have to choose. How do I get this slide?
Yeah. So that goes back to the same as session time slotting and picking sessions and getting the birds of the feathers lined up. So there's an Excel spreadsheet that comes out with every topic known that any person submitted, and then they're like, okay, you've got to get this into 175 slides. You've got 12,000 that you've got to get down in that thing. So it's like, okay, let's see. Let's take Ron and Rod and present them together to deliver a session. That's two of those sessions that might have been separate that are now combined into one. They do a very good job. They could do better, but if you saw the work that it's difficult. The conference could have been 3 weeks, and we cram it all down into 4 days or 5 days. Correct. Yeah.
But it could be better, because I agree. There were sessions this year, same exact topic in the same exact time slot. So how are you going to, I heard people say this year, where's all the config man sessions? Because, originally this conference was an SMS. Well, they were all in the same time slot. That's why you didn't get them all.
Yeah, I think that's how they was doing it.
To follow up with what Mike just said, specifically birds of a feather, because they're discussion oriented and they're not recorded, you can't go back later
Right.
and listen to them. They're all crammed together, so you can't participate nearly as well as you might like. They were spread out more.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have time like.
Birds of the feathers be, yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe, well, I mean, you really couldn't even do an orchestrator, birds of a feather, be on this time slot or this day in Config Manager because you've got people that do both. So, yeah, we'll work very hard on trying to figure that out, but yeah,
What about an impromptu
logistically, that was
birds of a
difficult.
feather area?
Because I'm thinking maybe just more open forum stuff. An open forum for a time slot to get people together and then do big dance for OSD.
Right. So over in the outside the alumni lounge, those tables there in the back that each have their little card on it, those are what those are designed to do, but we never, the promotion for that doesn't get delivered in the right way. Yes, you do need that. But that big whiteboard, the way that it was originally designed was people would write up, hey, I've got a topic on such and such that I want to have a discussion at 5:30 on table 8. That's how that all started, but it's, I mean, really, how many people walked by that board and looked at it? I walked by the board and saw it, but I never really read anything on there. They could have said, hey, Ron, call such and such, your dog died or something, and I'd never seen it. So.
Not to change the subject, but when you're talking about all these different subjects and everything, I'm curious whether it's possible to, in addition to discussing the conference topics, whether there might be an opportunity for myITforum to produce or sponsor some level of, an hour and a half, once a month or something like that, someone presenting and having that with people in the community
Yep.
to join in and listen to that throughout the year.
So how many people listened to the SMS Guru series that we did? Okay, so obviously we haven't done one in a few months. We're rebranding, revisioning that delivery mechanism. So shortly, soon, no time yet to be determined, we're going to re-engage that, kick that back off, try to make it better than what it was. It was great, but...
Is it going to be under PIN.dot? Or, because remember that...
Everything will be branded as myITforum.
Okay. So
Well,
that's under your company.
Yeah, it'll be rebranded as System Center Guru instead of just SCCM. So we'll cover Orchestrator and everything.
All the System Center suite. Might, that logo is great, but it's frightening too.
Somebody had a T-shirt on this morning.
Yes.
We were over here first. And I'll come back. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, that's awesome. Okay. So, when this conference first started, we had a U.S., we had a Europe, and we had Australia, Eurasia. I mean, EMA, in Australia. So, the idea is to get back to that. And you guys, where are you from?
Malaysia.
There are best of MMSs around, but they're not quite as good, and I don't know if they're in your area or not. I know Wally Mead is off on Saturday to South Africa for a best of MMS event for a week or so, but. Okay.
Because there's a huge time commitment.
Yeah.
Yes.
15 hours ahead. So there's no way we can follow the session. Even for me, most parts of these people are just doing over the other.
Yeah.
Now, all the sessions are available afterwards, so then you can get access to them. But it's kind of like you have to pay the money for the MMS, and then you could choose not to show up, and then still see the sessions afterwards.
Well, they're free on Channel 9.
Yeah. And there's a PowerShell script that's going out that'll download them all too. So if you can get the thing to run, it
Yeah.
downloads the first one and then pauses.
Yeah, all the sessions will be available, but I know what you're getting at. I mean, this conference feel, this conference, there's the value we talked about is Sessions are great, but that's not the ultimate value.
It is different, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I've gone to virtual conferences before. It's different from coming to the real conference.
Yeah.
So there is value in the conference.
Well,
Hold on.
like, we have that SCCM rally in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And essentially what that is a bunch of consultants come here, gather information, and in some roundabout way recreate the best of there. And so, you know, having a overall event and then sub-regional events throughout
Right.
the year.
Almost like a MMS network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a question.
You know?
Question over here.
So I'm in the fee this year, and I didn't make it in until 6:30 on a Sunday, and I really wanted to go to the MS 101, and the MMS 101. I wish that there was something online that I could have watched prior to coming here, to kind of prepare myself. I had no clue what I was coming.
Right.
Oh.
So you know what we could do is
That's a good
replay that MMS 101 class. Like, if the conference next year is in April, replay it, put that up on the site in February, March, and let them replay that one. That's a great idea. Thank you. Very good. Yeah. Right.
But a lot of people actually miss the link in myITforum to that session.
Oh, yeah, that's a great suggestion. All right, up here.
I really like this conference because there's a way to also those presenters something to get an immediate feedback. And I was thinking this is something what could be done for a whole year. I mean, I know that there are people who cannot come to one location, but I think what they started now on the Channel 9 is jump starts, where you have live events on sometimes even over a whole day, what is quite hard, especially if you're in another time zone as event is happening. But at this event, they really have a bunch of, you have a presenter, you have somebody who is leading everything, and then you have a bunch of MVPs at the background who are answering your questions. And this is like here.
Right.
You have it here, you have a presenter, you have somebody who is knowledgeable and who is willing to spend an hour or 2 or 4 hours on a topic.
Or all day. Yeah.
Beg your pardon?
You keep
Or all
increasing the
day,
number. I'm
yeah.
like, all day?
2 weeks,
All day.
24 straight
You
hours.
have to have a great topic to talk about.
And give me your home phone. Okay, go ahead.
No, but in this way, you really can also over the year, not only once a year, have an opportunity to meet online with the people who are struggling with the same troubles you are.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's kind of where myITforum comes in, providing all those different vehicles for your support. So there's the email lists, which people love. There's the forums. So you do kind of have that camaraderie. I mean, it's not face-to-face, of course, but it does give you the ability to keep that up all year round. And in fact, you know what we've done every year, the birds of a feather. People get together and they're like, they'll stop me and we want an email list just for our group. So we'll create an email list just for that group. So say it's healthcare or the financial industry, so they have something to talk to each other and help each other out all year round. So definitely willing and open to do that anytime to help
But
them.
to lead off of him, like, if you could have chat sessions, like live chat sessions with,
Link
yeah,
meetings or what?
yeah. I mean, of course, if you have a chat session with an MVP, like you, of course, he's not going to be able to answer all the questions, but he has people behind him that's answering the questions.
It's almost like a Q&A webcast.
He's got minions.
There's no way you can answer 100 questions coming at him.
That's why I got chills.
Right, that's what I mean, you know.
Help.
There'll be like a team and, you know.
So that's what. So on the SCCM Guru or the Config Manager Guru or System Center Guru that we do, in the background, whoever's doing the presentation at that time, there was always 2 people in the background trying to answer all the questions. I was one, Brian Mason was one, So that sort of concept works. We just need to get that back going. And okay, you want to present? Awesome.
Hmm.
So Rob, something I'm hearing is, the human interaction is a key element, right? So it's kind of a two-part question or just comment more so, but what are myITforum plans now with the whole new petting relationship for local user groups? I think the local user groups have been extremely kind of fragmented through the demise of Culminance and then GitHub and now
That's the name of that.
Microsoft's been struggling to pull that through the new tech community, but being a user group leader, that's one of the hardest things is getting the word out to people that user groups exist, local user groups. So Brian runs his out of Minnesota. I run mine out of Arizona. We have a couple of them, throughout the U.S. But it's valuable because not everybody gets to come to MMS, right? So I think I only had like 2 people from my user group that were able to make it, but it provides the same value. And something we try to do is, we bring in Mike Meehouse and we bring in Wally Mead and get those guys face to face for the people that can't come to the conference and that kind of thing. So, are there any plans there to kind of pull that back together and kind of reinvigorate that and get that message out, or?
Yeah, I'll answer it directly, and then I'll give you an opinion. So, yeah, in fact, it's funny. User groups and user visits and a user group program is actually on my list of responsibilities. So, we've from my myITforum perspective, we've always fostered the best of our ability user groups, try to support those and promote those. It's been tough over the years because user groups, to me, some of them become very successful and they just take off and they need no help almost. It's the ones that start up and fall off and then we never hear from them again. Are you still a user? And you can't get an answer. So yeah, somebody needs to do a better job of staying in contact with those people from my opinion perspective, and I'll tell you why I believe all these user group services have failed and will ultimately fail. Okay, any large vendor that tries to do their own community will fail because their revenue is based on sales, software, whether it's a hardware vendor, and that's their primary focus. Community is great. I mean, it definitely helps drive sales ultimately, but when times are tough, when there's a new product release, all the focus gets pushed to that because that is the most important thing, and community sits over here until somebody's willing to take it up and do it again. So in my opinion, large vendors like Microsoft should never, ever do that, try to control community. They should take communities that are successful now and put their backing and support behind those and give them the tools and the ability to help those user groups. And that's why I believe it's never worked.
It is a lot of work for, it's a lot of work for the one organizing it to get that done. So
it's a good idea for them.
Great work.
Really, but they should just support it, not.
So the feedback, I don't know how many people went inside it, but when you got your bag, it was filled with about 3 to 4 pounds of paper. At MMS this year, I don't know if anybody's used their USB key, but it has all the slicks that would normally be printed out and put in there. I think that's a huge.
Saving trees.
We've been, yeah.
Right.
We've been, actually, that's been a comment for a number of years. Why? Well, it was actually trying to, okay, so the sponsors and the expo and stuff, that provides value for you to be able to see and tell you the truth, and, hopefully they don't know vendors in here, but
Spam.
I'm not going to look at that USB key. Sorry.
Well, if you do look at the USB key, it's locked. So you can't put any additional files on it, so you're going to have to go hack it to delete all the stuff on there. If you're going to give me a USB key, give me a USB key I can use, not one that you lock up.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but that's one of the people have suggested, and it's finally happened. I was like, when I got the bag this year, I'm like, nothing in there. That's awesome. I thought I got cheated, but
Yes, sir.
Encore type deal, then that person should be called back for a conference.
So we have done that in the past. You were called back to do one session once. There's been a few people, and I think his session was probably in the ballroom F, which is 5 million people can sit in it, and it was standing room only. So they called him back to do it again. So there are those times that, depending on conferencing and how well it's packed, that they'll call those people back to do other ones, and they'll write it up on that board that nobody looks at, or tell us to retweet it. Yeah. Yeah, that's the instant way to get the stuff out. Okay, you had another one?
One of the other things that I'm not sure whether it actually currently exists or not, that a number of people need something done or have an idea to do something and yet don't have the current expertise or skills to make that happen, and that actually facilitating requests for certain things, or to say, I think this would be a spectacular idea, but I don't have the time, energy, inclination, skill set to make that happen, but it actually giving that idea to somebody else who might be able to write that PowerShell script.
So, sort of like a blue sky?
Something that's put out there, and then kind of in an open source way. I'm burning inside because of Microsoft and I said open source. But the fact that when somebody makes that request openly, that then whatever gets created is also then shared with the community, which is kind of like that give and take. That might help too.
Almost like a topic suggestion list. Somebody's like, I feel like writing today. Oh, I'll grab that one.
That's great.
Put it out there.
So the flip side that I can see is an evil vendor sitting out there saying, I'm going to go write that. And then, well.
Take an evil vendor and actually make it so that, there are people who signed up for the list and actually make it something
Yes.
that,
Yeah.
you know about, so you actually have to be a participant.
So a new email list for to create.
Maybe like a subforum.
Yeah,
A what?
Like a subforum.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I just heard.
The community
FORM.
people in the community, and if you end up being part of, how about this is the myITforum, community development group or something like that, where the folks know each other, get to know each other, and in that there ends up being the request, the delivery, the sharing, openly with the community versus, I'm going to go and help, create my own startup, and I'm going to go troll the myITforum.
Right. That's brilliant. Yeah.
And put it on your own blog somewhere.
That's actually a good idea. So forget everything I just
Any other suggestions or questions, comments?
I noticed a lot of people taking camera shots of the slides on the board, making it on the first slide so it notes that, hey, look at the schedule builder and download the whole deck.
Yeah.
So people stop taking their flash off in the middle of the presentation. I do that so my manager's drives actually in the session. I try to get a few extra heads in there,
Well, it's Vegas, so, night after a Wednesday night party, he's trying to prove to his boss he's actually in the session.
All you got to do is take one picture and then just go and download the slides and cut and paste each slide in there with the same people sitting everywhere.
Or do it the smart way. Have somebody text you the picture. Have one of your coworkers could you take a picture of this session for me? Send it to me.
Just make a follow-up slide deck for presentation so that everybody can post their photos that they took of the session. We can all convince our bosses we were there and never show.
Wow. We'll strike that from the...
What company you work for? Yes, ma'am.
Met somebody in the tram today. He was talking about how, overwhelmed he was with the volume of information.
Oh, yeah.
He said it's learning by fire hose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you subscribe to one person's Twitter feed, it's the same thing.
I don't know where that came from.
But what the user groups is talking about, the problem with user groups too is that everybody has good intention. Like you, I know you have good intention, but it's a science behind it, and that discipline is not being pushed down. Like,
Yeah, I
how
agree.
do you set up a user group? Who's monitoring Harry to say, hey, do this, do that, talk to this company to get marketing for your next meeting? You understand?
Like a startup kit.
Right. Well, not just the kid, like the infomercial. You know, here's $5.
Well, but I mean, contacts of people in a particular area, or the
Right.
fact that,
A
you know,
live kid though, or someone that can actually advise.
don't forget to feed people when you're there,
Yes,
otherwise they're not going to show up the second time.
Most people don't care about the food. It's
And we should look to highly successful user groups to come up with that document.
Yeah, that and,
There you go.
and also advising.
I'd submitted a session to do that this year, but they didn't pick it up.
Well, that's a good question. You mentioned about drinking from a fire hose. You're talking about submitting sessions that don't get selected. When we end up being, calls for content, they are asking for explicitly 300 and 400 level items, and they're trying to make sure that the items that you're putting out there are not, fluffy things. But also in doing that, they're trying to remove any, conceptual ideas or visualization or anything like that at a lower level. Is there any desire for something that actually allows for that better give and take for folks who might be looking for more ideas or guidance versus real technical 400 level details about one particular topic? I mean, is there any interest in a range of content, or even the same session but at two different levels of
Yeah, because I think there's only a couple 200 level. Everything was 300 above this year, so.
And maybe time slots you can have, like a certain time is for lower level, 200, like maybe 2 o'clock is a 200 track. And then people at a certain level know every day at 2 o'clock is a certain level learning.
Well, then the newbies would get upset because they couldn't stay out late.
Yeah, we will have it at 8:30.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it should be the other way. I think that there should be, 3 types of sessions going on at the same time, the 100, the 200,
Oh, yeah.
the 300. So
Like
that
that.
you have people that are new to MMS, maybe they do want to deep dive on config management because they've been doing that for 10 years, but they don't know anything about Scorch, or they don't know anything about SCSM.
I mean, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
This conference has gone from the config manager specifically to the breadth of all of the things that we've got to have, and yet every single one of them is supposed to be at the same top level. You don't have an intro to what the heck is this, or how to make this work, or even how do I get started with this. I mean,
There's
how many
9.
people have played with Intune? Okay, how many people, if you actually,
There's
if somebody
9.
actually showed you that it could take you
9
5
products.
minutes, you could get free access
Not
to
6.
it, play around with it in your own shop, would you actually take a look at it? Okay, so I mean, that type of thing is that information, if you're not actually seeking it out, it might be something you look at it and go, well, gee, let me take a look at that. But because of the time frames and the requests of everything's at the same level. And I know that
That's something else we can do.
Service manager 400 level.
We can just have a bunch of 100, 200 level
Why would want to do that? But, great.
sessions on myITforum.
Yeah, we can do that.
Right.
See, this is cool stuff that's coming out over here, and it's not necessarily that technical level. They don't do it because of time constraints and because they're trying to be everything for everyone. I mean, I've delivered sessions that cover the deepest deep, the
500 levels.
broadest whatever, and you're never going to satisfy everybody. So I think that instead of maybe trying to boil the ocean with that, you could say these are absolutely the things for the deep technical, and these are things that we know about that technical purposefully for kind of to bring people into these other areas.
So that's the thing that we just took down is potentially the community helping with the 100, 200 level sessions to get those intros to Intune, intros to Orchestrator, intro to fill in the blank.
Or maybe you follow up one of the sessions that you delivered, you followed up with the birds of a feather later on that night and say, this is going to be the intro version of what I just
Yes.
delivered at a 400 level.
Back Okay. Cool. Yeah.
The hard part about it is there's no compensation for creation of this. So a lot of times when you got to consider that the folks doing these presentations it's your own time. So even if kind of looking at different levels of each one of them or whatever, it's not Microsoft and it's not anybody else who's being compensated for it. It's the fact that so now I got a session selected and I've got to do pre, or that I've got to do conference material.
Yeah.
And that production of that kind of stuff is difficult. So just to keep in mind, man, it's good.
Yeah, but it makes me think of like you need to be pre-certified for a conference to attend a conference almost, and so, but that I think it's important to have that information available so you could mess with it whenever you wanted to, but not make it a limiting factor to attending the conference. Because, like I said, sessions are great, but that's not the important part of the conference. Really, that's not where you get your value. So.
I'm thinking not so much of the prayer of the thing that you have to do it or you come to it, but rather you can prepare yourself.
Yeah. Here's how to prepare.
One quick thing. So I know Team G is supposed to be going away, but other products like BizTalk
15 minutes.
and BIM and stuff like that, I was hoping that they would have fallen under the management side of this, Microsoft Management Summit. It seems like it's more of the System Center side.
Yeah.
Those ones are what we consider internally as service line 2, or excuse me, service line 4. That ultimately they're on the development and the actual delivery side of a particular. They're trying to do a particular job, and in doing so, while the closest thing that we have in service system center ends up being service manager, but service manager is there because it's supposed to be that front end to the rest of the activities. But those types of things, bring them in, you would have a whole completely different department of Microsoft or even MCS that would be
So it doesn't fall in the system center.
No.
So it's kind of part of it.
and identity management.
Oh, I see.
The comment I had was actually the previous talk about the different levels. I would not ask Brian Mason or go on to do a level 1 thing. Right? You don't ask them to do multiple levels of the but I would think that at least like maybe level 100 stuff, someone from Microsoft, probably the marketing team.
Whoa.
I'm not talking about selling the product, but it's an intro to the product.
Couldn't that be done by a community member who is a
Yeah.
more experienced community member they might not be able to do the 400, but they could sure as heck. I mean, it would be kind of that.
Yeah, that would be great for the vendor.
Yeah, because it'd be like a value session. So people who want to dig into, Windows Intune, example, would take the 300-400. But people that just want to know, okay, why would I want to use this? What's the value for me? And that would be the session.
All right.
Well, basically, just touch base on what you just talked about, because there's a lot of people that want to present that aren't necessarily at that, higher level, but it adds more exposure to them and what they're doing, and it benefits the community as a whole. So it's somebody that's not really presenting a lot can come in and start.
Yeah.
And work their way up.
Yep. Perfect.
Yeah, that's
we
one
have-
of the things that I think is key is that used to be that way. There's a lot of people that are presenters here that have been presenters forever, but they had to start somewhere, and it used to be we provide the opportunity for them to do that. Some worked out, some didn't, but at least you could get the opportunity to do that. Yeah, I think.
And on that, if you're ever looking to present, they always do a class before you present here so that you sat with a presenter coach, and he'll coach you through your slides. It's very handy. He can give you some good benefits and some good pointers. Or what I do is just listen to a few of Mike's sessions, and then you learn how to do it.
One of the things I really like about Tech Ed, the way they do that, I don't know if you attended, but they do have a presenter contest. People had never presented before, and the week-long thing, and they get a few sessions to present, and then they get voted on at the end. So it's a speaker idol thing. So I thought that was.
So we have 10 minutes. Keep it coming. Yes, ma'am.
So
Yep. So when I first started, the very first company I worked for had 100 PCs, and I had config man SMS 1.0, and then 1.1, and then 2.0 and 2.1. But it was really neat because I was sitting in a meeting with one of the product team managers, and they're like, "How big's your environment?" And I said 100, and their eyes were like, "Oh my gosh," So those are things that you've got to start somewhere. So there are people out there that have those small environments. There's not all the Wells Fargo that have 400,000 plus machines. But when people start talking about them, those are what Microsoft wants because they can say it's deployed on, 10 million machines throughout the world. But there are people out there that have those smaller communities. So just find them. If you ever have trouble, email me. I've worked in small companies. I've worked in large companies. And so it's...
How many clients do you guys have, by the way?
Oh, yeah, that's a semi-large one. Oh, well then, yeah, you're...
Well, congratulations.
Yeah, you would be considered in that upper... Yeah, so...
But even in that, I think one of the things that applies is not necessarily, you're going to have the same problems and complexities around things breaking or not working or trying to optimize certain things. But I think one of the areas that would benefit a smaller environment is how do we do the most with the smallest amount of money, a really small environment, not as big of a footprint, that type of thing, and being able to maximize that. And I honestly think that would be spectacular. Why don't you present next year? Put that in there and say, doing System Center for small shops. Well, okay.
That would be awesome.
MMS is here next year, but you end up saying that System Center for small shops, and you can then say, this is how we ended up maximizing this, and give feedback.
It's our time, because we end up, we wear a lot of hats.
You have
Yeah.
to. You have to.
Getting,
So...
How do you delegate work? How do you make sure you take care of all these other responsibilities?
So for your 1,200, how many people's in your team?
That's the
System Center. Yep. Awesome.
So who's doing things this week? Exactly. Wow, you guys...
So, if you listen to the keynote, Domino's has, 11,000 machines? 15,000, 2 people. There used to be a stat that for every 50 machines, you need 1 person. If you have System Center or Config Manager, for every 500 machines, it's 1 person. So, you guys are right in that, and don't quote me on that. That's not official stats. Those are just things that were said.
The big thing, for any of these things, is you need as many people as you need to be able to get the work done.
Successfully.
The fact is, if it's successfully, and then ultimately you need to have enough people to cover the business. Should one person quit, get hit by a bus, or what have you. Typically, a team of 3 people can end up managing a tremendous environment, 25, 30, 35,000, if the explicit responsibility of dealing with the config manager and the sources contained therein. Packaging and doing those types of things be handled by other groups, and you end up handling these. Okay, that's getting a technical stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, as far as a team size, at least 3 for any large environment, just because you can split the responsibilities across those 3, and when one goes out, you still have 2 who can do the rest of it. You try to pick up that third and split that.
And that's not to say, listen to him, that you go back and you say, we have 1 person too many in our group.
Yeah. You could always use more people. So. Yeah. And then the other thing that you can do is you can always have your 5th member or 6th member, your 6th man off the bench is the community. So you always have that fallback. So, even if you're one person, that is managing 400,000 clients, you'd be working 24 hours a day. But you have something to fall back on. Microsoft doesn't want their products to fail. So even if you have a big problem, if you watch every slide Microsoft puts their email address on, you email them, and they will respond to you within 24 to 48 hours, guaranteed. So even if you've got problems off the wall, you could email, whoever, and they will respond back to you.
Did you just say that I'm going to be responding to emails?
24 to 48.
No, not you. Well,
Guaranteed.
yeah, they will respond to you as soon as they can.
Guaranteed. Guaranteed. As soon as they can.
Yeah, guaranteed. It depends.
Also, to a small company, right? Like you said, you started with 100 machines.
Yep.
And probably when you started, none of this was here as far as community. But
Right there was in Schultz. So,
But when when you start in this company, right, you feel lost, and I think that's the thing too. We don't know how to socialize. We don't know that this is out there.
Yeah.
It's not marketing. It's not trickling down because obviously that's not big folks, but it's not trickling down to smaller companies.
Right.
To say, hey, you do have hope. Don't feel lost. Don't feel like you're buying $10,000 software and that's it. And leave it at the door.
How do you suggest to do that? I mean, internally at Microsoft, the hard part is that our messaging, we can sit there. I mean, I've promoted selling our community is, we should train our salesmen on myITforum in our community so that they make sure to say, not only, you've got 5 different products you could choose from. Well, ours is the one with the largest, best, most knowledgeable community, and that's worth X amount. But how would you suggest as far as that trickling down, whereas internally at Microsoft, we try to do that type of thing, but we're not also necessarily the most trusted when it comes to, pushing our own community just as the vendor doing it.
Okay, 2 ways, right? I worked at Sonic Wall. At Sonic Wall, I was in their training. What we did is 2 things. We had the salespeople push the word out. Hey, look, there's training, there's a community. You just bought our product, debut. Check this site out. In conversation, send them an email. Hey, check these links out. Like for System Center, check out new, right?
Windows Noob.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where that will tell you exactly how to get it up and rolling, right? The other way too is that sales will go to the forums and say, hey, these new people bought these products. Why don't you reach out to them? Like send them something like here's a great link for you. I'm glad you bought the product. Here's a great link. Join our community. I think that too mirroring, and we don't mesh together because I don't know. I don't know why sales and marketing don't see the community as a money maker.
2 minutes.
Oh,
Yes. No, you're fine.
I think that this is also the part of the community members which are already in the community to spread out the word that we exist, that we have this huge amount of resources which are here, this knowledge, that people who are on the spot. I like the idea of those stars which they painted here on MMS. And this would be great to have voluntarily people to place themselves, to let themselves know where they exist and where they come from, without must not be the names. Just that they know that there's somebody that is existing who is willing, who is prepared to share the knowledge together.
Right.
Is there, I don't mean to do this, but we've got this great community, started with Config Manager, focused on Config Manager, broadening right now. Is there any possibility, I don't know if there is a strong operations manager community, or a strong orchestrator community, or a strong any of the other System Center product communities, and therefore, if there isn't one, and it's not one that we can actually, if there is one, I think there's really important for myITforum to leverage that and to work with them and bring them into the fold, whether as partnership or whatever. And if there is not one, then there's a point in time where I don't know why or how myITforum and us around Config Manager and SMS grew so organically, but we need to harness whatever that was so that we can actually broaden this and develop the same level of knowledge for those other products, because they might not be using Config Manager. But I think a lot of people could benefit.
well, how IT forum, we forced them. That was his words.
Not forced. No force.
I will say forced.
If quite honestly, it just filled a need.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, those that have not worked with configuration manager very long don't know the history, and it's almost like SMS, the first version, somebody at Microsoft, it was like shareware. They decided to do it on the weekend and throw it out, and it wasn't very useful or didn't work very well, and
Caused a lot of headache.
caused a lot of headache. And for me, it just started posting really for myself to post online, and other people found it because there was such a need because other companies were trying to use it. And that was that one product that like changed my whole life. That light bulb moment I talked about earlier, that you get systems management. And this is awesome stuff, being able to automate and manage. But it grew because of the need. Okay, so Configuration Manager, in my opinion, is still one of the largest and most difficult products for one single person to manage and to get. But there's a lot of components of it, and you look at Configuration Manager, there's people that do specific pieces of it. There's teams. I do the packaging, I do the antivirus signature updates, I do, it still has that need. Ops Manager, on the other hand, and the others, it's a good knowledge system to utilize for that, but it's not as tough as the others, and I think that's where a lot of that comes from. So if we can provide, through Penton, being able to identify those Ops Manager folks or those orchestrator folks that provide that really good content and bring them in and start to provide that information, I think we can kind of get that to grow.
You guys
I
went
think
way
that's how
past
we
your
probably do.
time.
What?
That was you went past your time buzzer.
Oh. Well, this is open to you guys. What are they?
Hey, this is it. This is the end of the conference. So, this is the last session of the day.
Well, I really appreciate this because there's a lot of really, really, really good suggestions here. I would not have thought of these myself. I think, to me, it's sessions like these, I think, that provide the most value to the conference because this will improve, not only the community but also the conference going forward. And I really appreciate you guys stopping in and being willing to, make comments and suggestions because ultimately, this entire list is going to be looked at over the next 2 or 3 weeks. And probably a month or 2 months from now, you'll hear something about a conference next year that this stuff will be implemented. And so just based on your feedback, it will be your conference. So please come back, and I hope you enjoyed the week. Thank you so much.